Hi, I'm Georgia Raisman. I'm here on Front Up with Allan Bell, noted businessman, pharmacist, island variety owner.
Yes.
Thank you for joining me
Oh,
today,
thank
Allan.
you, Georgia.
It's nice to be here with you.
Right.
So I'm going to ask you about, well, first, before we even get to important stuff,
Mm-hmm.
how did you get here? You've been an island business owner for
It's
couple
going
of decades
to be
now.
41. It's actually 41 years in
Whoa.
November 2nd.
Congratulations,
Thank
almost.
you.
That's
I know.
exciting.
I know. I got here because my cousin was married to a pharmacist, and they bought Congdon's Pharmacy, and he had worked on the island for a little bit, and then when Nantucket Pharmacy, and he bought the business, and when Nantucket Pharmacy came up, he thought it'd be great if we went in together, except it was my cousin and I that went in together, and so we were right next door to each other, and he was my mentor, and then partnerships don't work, and that did not work, so gradually I bought him and my cousin out. He started Island Pharmacy when it was part of the Stop and Shop, and then I bought him out of that, and then their marriage did not work, so at some point he bought Congdon's Pharmacy back, and I bought Congdon's Pharmacy from him.
Oh, gee.
So I bought a bunch of stuff from him.
So where did you grow up?
New Jersey.
And how did you got here accidentally or through
Oh,
him
because
originally,
of
or-
the business. You know, I had gone to the Jersey Shore, so I thought Jersey Shore is, I can do Nantucket, except I didn't move here until November 1st or 2nd. So.
And how did you decide on pharmacy as a career to begin with?
Pharmacy, because I wanted to do medical school, but I fooled around too much in high school, so I chose pharmacy, thinking it was more biology, but turns out it was more chemistry. But
Very
again,
useful,
between
though.
this John Bertolami as my mentor as I was going through school, I stayed in it, and I had good friends, so we all graduated together.
Very useful, though. Sometimes I think pharmacists are the most accessible medical people that most people have, right?
Yeah, we are accessible. Yes.
And I'm sure people ask you all sorts of medical questions all the time.
They do. Sometimes out of our league, but they do. And it's okay. Sometimes we can answer, sometimes we can't. But we do our best.
So I know that the question that always comes up at this time of year is the flu vaccine question.
Yes.
And flu vaccines are based on scientists' best guess about which flu strains are going to be prominent that year. Isn't
Correct.
that right?
Yes.
So people always say things like, well, I got the flu vaccine and then I got a flu anyway. And
Right.
so what do you say to those people?
If more people got the flu vaccine, there would be less people getting the flu. The CDC, first of all, viruses are always changing. They're like anything. Everything mutates. They want to survive, but it's our bane. So the CDC actually collects every strain of virus going back to 1918 or 1919.
I didn't know that. That's
They
interesting.
they have them stored so that they can actually cultivate from there. So what they do is every year they look at the previous year before that, and they come up with what they think is the best combination for the next year. What's historically in the last 8 or 9 years, they've always included the Hong Kong flu and the swine flu, variations of it, not that specifically, but variations of it, and a virus. This year they made the standard a 4 virus containing thing, which has 2 A's, Hong Kong flu, swine flu, and 2 B's. B's tend to get children sicker than the others.
Oh, so good.
So they've gone to 4, except you have the senior high dose now, which is still the original 3-dose series. I mean, three viruses. But hopefully it's going to work. They're confident because last year they got a bad rap. I think there was many people died, but I think again, if more people got the vaccine, besides their controversies and what they're worried about.
Well, I think anti-vaxxers are a particular issue of mine because it's like anti-science, and that drives me up a wall. And I think all of my social media friends know that because I'm constantly sharing these horror stories about anti-vaxxers, about people who won't vaccinate their kids. And there are measles, for heaven's sake, and people who forget that flu can kill people. And flu has killed children, which is inexcusable. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, definitely children the most, yes.
Oh. And then I think what people forget is the Spanish flu in 1918. Millions and millions of people around the world were killed by that. And we're fortunate enough to have attempts to fend off the flu, and people are still saying, oh, no, I don't believe in vaccines. Now, I understand there are elements in some vaccines that cause some people bad reactions. And somebody was telling me today about eggs. Eggs, I mean, albumin is in flu vaccines.
Yeah, what's happened with the eggs, there was being cultured in eggs, and so some people with egg allergies were having problem with it. now gotten it. In fact, I did happen to oddly read this recently that of the 4 strains that are in this year's current vaccine, 3 are not. 3 are just cell cultured.
Oh, really?
They're
That's
not.
interesting.
They're not used in eggs. So and one of them, it's either the Hong Kong or the swine flu, that is based in eggs. But the CDC feels that when you had an egg, if you only had a hives or that type of reaction, it's okay to get the vaccine. If you had a more serious reaction, then they might go to, there's another option. It's a live nasal spray.
Oh, that's
but
interesting.
yeah, they just feel that anybody, but even the people that had the serious reaction, they're saying have it administered in your doctor's office, and
Just in case.
stay there for for a little bit, just in case you have an anaphylactic reaction. But no, but they feel it's more important to get the vaccine, and that the eggs are now no longer an issue.
And do you ever come up still against people who don't believe in more general vaccines? Are they still anybody still on island still following this
There are some,
autism
yes.
nonsense? That
Not so much the autism, but
that's
just
been
there
debunked
are
by now?
still though some people that don't want to vaccinate their children, yet they'll wait, so they're just delaying it, so rather than doing then the CDC has a big list of exactly what to do when, and if you don't do, they have 3 backup plans. So if you don't get it at this point, get it this, and it's quite a they have it all mapped out. So if you wait until you're 4 rather than getting things at your 1 or 2,
and
it's not okay.
hopefully
But
nothing
again,
happens to your
you're
child.
exposing other children.
Yeah, and hopefully nothing happens to your child before then.
Yeah.
So the other issue on people's minds these days is the first ballot question.
Right.
On
Question 1, yes.
Yeah, question 1, which is a state mandate for nurse staffing under certain circumstances.
Yeah.
And I've been hearing a lot of discussion about that. What do you hear? What kinds of discussions do you hear? Well, before we get to that, can you explain that generally?
All right. What's happened is a group of nurses, I'm not sure what group, but a group of nurses got together.
Nurses union.
Nurses union. They got together and they would like a higher, or is it lower, ratio of nurses to patients. So they want to take care of less patients, so that they're not stressed and that they can do a good job.
Which is a laudable goal. Everybody would like to see.
They've come up with some good numbers, for what the ratios they think that they should be.
Right.
And they've poured a lot of money into advertising on that. The other side feels that this is going to just drive costs up, and that everybody can do their own job of getting the correct ratio. So
Everybody meaning any individual hospital.
the hospitals, yeah. So and basically what Nantucket College Hospital and a lot of small hospitals are saying is that let us make that decision, because otherwise it's going to cost us a lot of money.
When I read it, it seemed to me that it implied that a hospital like Nantucket that has a lot of seasonal variation would not be able to change its seasonal staffing in a way that reflected that.
Yeah, well, they bring in a lot of staff as it is, and so this would require them to bring in more staff, and you have the whole housing thing, which they're working on. But still, I just think
And you couldn't have less staff when you didn't need that many,
no. So
right? Which is the other side
yeah.
of it.
So what I definitely laud the idea that more nurses
More nurses are always a good
are
thing.
good,
right?
but there's also especially on Nantucket, there's the supply problem. The supply, there's how do we get them here? A lot of people, rather than going into nursing, or become nurse practitioners, or rather than being nurse practitioners, they skip nurse and they go right to physician assistants. So you're going to need, I think you're going to need a large supply of people, which as the population grows and needs more attention.
The demographics would
And I just
indicate,
think it's going to raise insurance, because insurance just continues to grow every year. There's always that 10-15% growth. And I think this could affect it even more. That's my personal opinion. But again, my sister-in-law is a nurse, and she's in Florida, but she definitely thinks it's a great idea.
And I think people, from my perspective, but that's my personal opinion. I don't like to see things like that being required by law.
Right.
I like to see them left to the discretion of the people on the ground who have to deal with it on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
But because laws are rigid, and because there are penalties involved if you don't
The
follow
penalties
this
are
law.
quite stiff. It can be $25,000 per occurrence, and I'm sure that would be there would be some sort of plea deal.
Yeah, but why be in a position where you've got to plea yourself out of something when
not until you're bringing lawyers in.
Yeah, and then it becomes very expensive as well. It just seems like the wrong way to approach it. Not that I know the right way. And if it's a union issue, maybe the issue is the union negotiation on any given hospital rather than regulatory.
This cookie cutter approach.
Yeah.
But in their defense, though, they probably have 10 different ratios. For emergency room.
Right.
Yeah. So they have done their homework, but I just think let it be up to the individual hospitals.
Right. Well, that seems to be something that is getting a lot of discussion on Island,
Yeah,
not that much
definitely.
public discussion.
Yep.
So a couple of years ago, you were involved in helping the downtown business area become more vital, and I remember Rich Tour was talking about this with
Yep.
Uptown and Remain.
Yep.
What's been happening on that front?
I've sort of stepped away from it a little bit just because I've become more active in another group. But we become a cultural district. So Nantucket Cultural District, and I think that actually took over. It was sort of what the Remain, the Downtown Business Association, was trying for anyway, to get businesses, to group together, and I think that's actually happening. It's being run by, it's either the Artists Association or, sorry, I'm blanking right now, but they're definitely running it because the cultural district cannot just be on its own. It has to have an organization that oversees it, and they're doing a great job. In fact, just the arts festival that happened. In fact, that's the group that is in charge of it. The group that runs the arts festival, they did a great job this year, and they always do. So just to get more people out, I think it's so. My informational system, I don't think it's and I'm sort of a dinosaur. I can email, but I can't do all the fancy stuff. And so I just get so frustrated. Just to send out a simple little blurb takes a long time. And I haven't updated my email addresses because so many businesses come and so many businesses go. So I sort of stepped away from it. I count on the cultural district to take over that for us.
So have you seen in the last, say, 10 years since Remain has been very active, have you seen a lot of differences, or have you seen, what sort of differences have you seen in downtown business activities?
Well, businesses are always changing. Restaurants are always changing, but I think that's the restaurant business. I think restaurant business generally is short-lived, just because it's so tough. But we have some great restaurants here.
Is the level of economic activity
definitely increased? Yeah, because you have the Dreamland. They've done a great job. The historical museum, the NHA. Everybody's is working now, and the idea of the cultural district was to try to get them to collaborate, and that's slowly happening. We unfortunately when I was on that committee for the cultural district, we got too bogged down in the beginning of how to get it done rather than just doing it. But they're doing a great job now.
And Remain has been trying to get more people downtown.
They're always trying.
Year-round
They're
and
always
at
trying.
night.
Yeah.
I, for one, think that the culinary center has been
that's
a
great.
great
I was
draw.
just there. And they did a great.
so were we.
They did a great. They did a great job and do a great job. And they support again, sort of collaboration. They support, for instance, Sustainable Nantucket. They do a big thing. They do their cooking for their feast, and they actually sponsored a night out, which I happened to bid on and win. So I had a great time.
Right, and they're open until 9 at night, so they are a place to go after the movies where you don't have to drink.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, how great is that?
Yeah.
So
and
they're open at 7 in the morning too.
Yeah,
So it's really,
they're doing a great job, and they appreciate what was done for them, and they're giving back. They're giving back to the community. So that was a win-win situation.
So generally, I think, do you feel that downtown is still is healthy economically?
I think it's healthy economically. Yes, definitely healthy economically. Our old model was we close at 6 starting November 1st, but we gradually in the summer we're open until 10:30 at Nantucket Pharmacy.
Wow, that's good.
But we gradually ramped down. Well, even in October we were closing at 7. Well, 7 was almost too soon. So that's October.
Good.
But November 1st, or actually when the time changes, then we'll go back to 6. No, so I think there are people downtown. And again, downtown gets a bad rap that there's no parking, and so that's why people do not go downtown.
What do you think about Wilkes Square?
Wrong thing. I'm sorry.
In terms of scale, or
it's
not the right parking solution?
Oh, I would like to. No, I would like to see a
Or-
parking garage. I was an opponent of parking garage, but probably in the last 5 years, I think you need a parking garage. I do. What I can't believe I'm saying is, I do think you need paid parking on Main Street. Some I know, but that's the only. There's just too many people that abuse it, and giving tickets doesn't mean anything. You need to have it.
$50 tickets.
A 50, but it doesn't matter to some people. You need to have it so that they come in for free for an hour. I can't believe I'm saying this. They come in for free for an hour, pay for the second hour, and then maybe after that then start paying $10 or whatever. But and Matt Fee has said this, you're basically rewarding people for parking on Main Street by not ticketing them, or when they do get tickets they get mad, but by not charging them, whereas everybody has to go to the town parking lot, which is full at 8, 10 in the morning.
Right.
So you do need, and the National Grid, which won't be available next year, that was a great thing.
Right.
People park there.
Why is it not available next year? I didn't know that.
The National Grid needs it as a staging area. They're going to be doing a lot of
they're
work this
moving it.
winter. Yeah, I think on Pulpus Road specifically, but making some circuitous routes. And so in town and off Pulpus Road, but they're going to need it, so they weren't going to allow the town
gosh.
to have it this year. So that National Grid parking lot downtown will not be available.
Oh gosh, that's not good.
Yeah.
So Wilkes Square, other than the parking area,
I just don't think we need a lot more businesses downtown.
no.
I think we have, the whole island has a problem with employees. We cannot keep
Right.
employees. Housing is tough, so people come, people go. Yes, we have seasonal employees, and that's great, but you still have to house them. But it's really hard to get year-round help, good help. And I think that's the problem with why put another 15 businesses in there. And I think the original plan had some sort of houses there.
so we could have houses and garages, and
Housing,
forget
yeah.
new businesses.
Yeah, I'm not even sure you need the housing in there either. I really think you need the parking first, but you need to charge people. Charge people less to park in a parking garage and more to park on Main Street.
And make Main Street for in and out type of parking
In and out,
rather than
yes.
longer term parking. Good. Well, I hope we get to all of that.
Yeah, I know. I think it will happen. There's a lot of people working behind the scenes, and it's just too many. There's a lot of pieces to the puzzle, and I've talked to Dave Fredericks about it, and actually Jason as well. It's a long-term, slowly developing thing, but it will happen.
Well, I look forward to it happening. Thank you for coming
Oh,
in. I
Georgia,
appreciate
thank
talking
you.
with
Good seeing you
always.
again. I know.
Nice seeing you.
All right, thank you.